Hey everybody, I'm going to talk to you today about the 5 most common things I see when I'm working with gaming clients. Stay tuned. Hello everybody, this is Massimo Motivation. Today I'm going to talk to you about the 5 primary things that I see with clients who have gaming issues. So these are people who play video games, maybe on the verge or have gaming addiction. Maybe it's an internet problem, but typically these are the 5 things that will present themselves into my office, and the 5 things that as a parent, if you're watching this, or somebody who knows somebody that plays a lot of video games, should be aware of. So the very first thing is social anxiety. So keep in mind that social anxiety is very specific. It's not the same as generalized anxiety. It's not the same as a panic attack disorder. Social anxiety is specific to social settings. It's not, oh my gosh, that girl is pretty and I'm afraid to talk to her. It's a physiological response often to large crowds, to speaking in front of a group of people, to being around individuals that are new, that you don't know. It makes establishing relationships very difficult. And so I see a lot of social anxiety because gamers tend to circumvent those issues by going online, by playing on Xbox Live, by playing with their friends on Steam. It's a lot easier to create and sustain relationships at a distance than it is to do so in person. The second thing is lack of pleasure outside of playing video games. So oftentimes I'll get kids that will say, oh, you know, my favorite thing about video games is maybe escapism, or maybe it's competition. You know, I just can't get that competition elsewhere. Well, that's not true. There's plenty of other places to get competition. There's plenty of other ways to escape besides playing video games. So whatever the person decides to identify as the primary reason why they are using the video game medium, it doesn't matter. You can find another reason to do it, but they convince themselves that that's the only platform that can give them that type of pleasure or fulfillment, that they can't find it elsewhere. So we have to challenge those thoughts when I have clients come in. We have to get the parents involved to kind of push their kids away from gaming, which often causes a lot of rebellious behavior back towards the family, but it's a necessary evil. The third thing I would say is reduced academic or career functioning. So this is pretty simple. Grades go down. You're not doing as well at your job. You're likely not advancing in your workplace. If you're an entrepreneur, you're extra screwed. So if you're spending too much time playing video games, obviously chances are you're probably not spending as much time doing what you need to be doing for your school or career. That one's really not rocket science, but if you're a parent, I wouldn't look so much to the sheer number of hours the person plays, although statistically we like to say above over 3 hours and you're starting to get a day and you're starting to get into some issues. But even still, if you're maintaining 3-4 hours of gameplay a day and your grades are the same, you're still going to work having no trouble, then I would still say it's fine. A problem is only a problem if it causes one. And reduced academic or career success is indeed a problem if it's correlated to too much time playing video games. The fourth I would say is communication deficits. So this is similar but different than the social anxiety. These are things like having difficulty maintaining eye contact, not really understanding body language, having trouble being empathetic with other people, cracking jokes at the wrong time, not being able to time stuff. These are things along those lines. And so what I typically do with they tend to be adolescents or young adults who have these problems right now. What I typically try to do is behavioral training on interpersonal relationships, teaching them about the different forms of body language, which eye to look in when they're talking, feet placement, rules of proximity, a lot of things like that. So if you notice that yourself or somebody you love is having trouble establishing those relationships and kind of keeping the flow of back and forth interpersonal communication going, communication styles and deficits may be present, right? The fifth thing is identity and self-esteem. So whether it's because you were bullied early on for liking anime and video games, or maybe it's because you don't have a social group and so you feel left out and there's something wrong with you, or there's kind of this stigma involved that if you're a heavy gamer that you're supposed to be like really fat, ugly, and sit at your computer all day, which is not true. You're supposed to be male, which is also not true. But there's a lot of identity wrapped up and self-esteem issues wrapped up in being a gamer, and it's typically seen as a negative rather than a positive. And even if the other people in your gaming community are reaffirming you that that's not the case, it's very easy to fall right back into thinking that it's a problem. I see this a lot with extroverts and introverts. Introverts naturally tend to think of themselves as being in a deficit, as being wrong, which is total garbage, because introverts have their own sense of pros and cons that extroverts don't have. Same thing for gamers, but I do see a lot of identity and self-esteem problems wrapped up in being a gamer. So hopefully these will help you or someone you know to identify the problems that are associated with gaming that I typically see as a clinician. If you can think of any others that maybe I didn't point out, these are not in order, feel free to leave them in the comment section below, guys, and always remember, mind, muscle, maximize.